Hi, thank you for joining us. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a translation of the Jewish Bible. And we are beginning with Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9. Shema. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you are to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words which I am ordering you today are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 14. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. Amen. We're on Genesis chapter 35. God said to Jacob, "Get up, go up to Beit El and live there, and make an altar to God, who appeared to you when you fled Esau your brother." Then Jacob said to his household and all the others with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods that you have with you, purify yourselves, and put on fresh clothes. We are going to move on and go up to Beit El, and there I will build an altar to God, who answered me when I was in such distress and stayed with me wherever I went." They gave Jacob all the foreign gods in their possession and the earrings they were wearing, and Jacob buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. While they were traveling, a terror from God fell upon the cities around them, so that none of them pursued the sons of Jacob. Jacob and all the people with him arrived at Luz in the land of Canaan. He built there an altar and called the place Beit El, God of Beit El, because it was there that God was revealed to him at the time when he was fleeing from his brother. Then Deborah, Rivka's nurse, died. She was buried below Beit El under the oak, which was given the name Alon Bakhut. After Jacob arrived from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will be called Jacob no longer. Your name will be Israel." Thus he named him Israel. God further said to him, "I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed a group of nations, will come from you. Kings will be descended from you. Moreover, the land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you, and I will give the land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him there where he had spoken with him. Jacob set up a standing stone in the place where he had spoken with him, a stone pillar. Then he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Jacob called the place where God spoke with him Beit El. Then they traveled on from Beit El, and while there was still some distance to go before arriving in Ephrat, Rachel went into labor, and she had great difficulty with it. While she was undergoing this hard labor, the midwife said to her, "Do not worry, this is also a son for you." But she died in childbirth. As she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, son of my grief. But his father called him Benjamin, son of the right hand, son of the south. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrat. Jacob set up a standing stone on her grave. It is still the standing stone of Rachel's grave to this day. Israel continued his travels and pitched his tent on the other side of Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in that land that Reuben went and slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Shimon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, were Gad and Asher. These were Jacob's sons, born to him in Padan Aram. Jacob came home to his father Isaac at Mamre, near Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had lived as foreigners. Isaac lived to be 180 years old, and then he breathed his last, died, and gathered to his people. An old man full of years, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. We're going to Judges now, chapter 11. Now Yiftach, a brave soldier from Gilead, was the son of a prostitute. His father Gilead had other sons by his wife, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Yiftach away and told him, "You will not inherit from our father, because you are another woman's son." Then Yiftach fled from his brothers and lived in the territory of Tov, where he enlisted a gang of rowdies who would go out raiding with him. After a while, the people of Ammon made war against Israel. When the army of Ammon attacked Israel, the leaders of Gilead went to fetch Yiftach from the territory of Tov and said to him, "Come and be our chief so that we can fight the army of Ammon." Yiftach answered, "The leaders of Gilead, didn't you hate me so much that you forced me out of my father's house? Why are you coming to me now when you're in trouble?" The leaders of Gilead replied, "Here is why we've come back to you now. If you lead us in war with the people of Ammon, you will be head over everyone living in Gilead." Yiftach answered them, "If you bring me back home to fight the army of Ammon and Adonai defeats them for me, I will be your head." The leaders of Gilead said to Yiftach, "Adonai is witness that we promise to do what you have said." Then Yiftach went with the leaders of Gilead, and the people made him head of the chief over them. Yiftach repeated all these conditions at Mitzpah in the presence of Adonai. Yiftach sent messengers to the king of the people of Ammon to say, "What is your problem with us? Why are you invading our territory?" The king of Ammon answered the messengers of Yiftach, "Because Israel took away my territory when they came up from Egypt. They took everything from the Arnon to the Jabbok and the Jordan. Now restore it peacefully." Yiftach sent messengers again to the king of the people of Ammon with this response. Here is what Yiftach has to say. "Israel captured neither the territory of Moab nor the territory of the people of Ammon. But when Israel came up from Egypt, walked through the desert to the Red Sea, and arrived at Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom to say, 'Please let us pass through your land.' But the king of Edom would not let them. He sent a similar message to the king of Moab, but neither would he. So Israel stayed at Kadesh. Then they walked through the desert around the territory of Edom and the territory of Moab, passed the east border of the territory of Moab, and pitched camp on the other side of the Arnon. But they did not cross the border into Moab, for the Arnon was the border of Moab. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorite, and king of Heshbon, with this message, 'Please let us pass through your land to our own place.' But Sihon did not trust that Israel would pass through his land, so he gathered all his people together, pitched camp in Yahatz, and fought against Israel. Adonai, the God of Israel, handed Sihon and all his people over to Israel, and they killed him. Thus Israel possessed all the territory of the Amorite who lived there. They took possession of all the territory of the Amorite, from the Arnon to the Jabbok, and from the desert to the Jordan. So now that Adonai, the God of Israel, has expelled the Amorite before his people, do you think Adonai, the God of Israel, has expelled the Amorite before his people Israel? So now that Adonai, the God of Israel, has expelled the Amorite before his people Israel, do you think that you will expel us? You should just keep the territory your God, Chemosh, has given you, while we, for our part, will hold on to whatever Adonai our God has given us of the lands that belonged to others before us. Really, are you better than Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever pick a quarrel with Israel or fight with us? Israel lived in Heshbon and its villages, in Aroer and its villages, and in all the cities on the banks of the Arnon for 300 years. Why did you not take them back during that time? No, I have done you no wrong. But you are doing me wrong to war against me. May Adonai the judge be judged today between the people of Israel and the people of Ammon. But the king of the people of Ammon paid no attention to the message Yiftach sent him. Then the spirit of Adonai came upon Yiftach, and he passed through Gilad and Manasseh, on through Metzpeh and Gilad, and from there over to the people of Ammon. Yiftach made a vow to Adonai, if you will hand the people of Ammon over to me, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the people of Ammon will belong to Adonai. I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. So Yiftach crossed over to fight the people of Ammon, and Adonai handed them over to him. He killed them from Aroer until you reach Minet, 20 cities all the way to Avel Kramim. It was a massacre. So the people of Ammon were defeated before the people of Israel. As Yiftach was returning to his house in Mitzpah, his daughter came out dancing out to meet him with tambourines. She was his only child. He had no other son or daughter. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, "Oh no, my daughter, you're breaking my heart. Why must you be the cause of such pain to me? I made a vow to Adonai, and I cannot go back on his word." She said to him, "Father, you made a vow to Adonai, so do whatever you said you would do to me, because Adonai did take vengeance on your enemies, the people of Ammon." Then she said to her father, "Just do this one thing for me. Let me be alone for 2 months. I will go away into the mountains with my friends and mourn, because I will die without getting married." "You may go," he answered, and he sent her away for 2 months. She left, she and her friends, and mourned in the mountains that she would die unmarried. After 2 months she returned to her father, and he did with her what he had vowed. She had remained a virgin, so it became a law in Israel that the woman of Israel would go every year for 4 days to lament the daughter of Yiftach from Gilad. Now we're going to Psalms chapter 35. Adonai, oppose those who oppose me, fight against those who fight against me. Grasp your shield and protective gear and rise to my defense. Brandish spear and battle axe against my pursuers. Let me hear you say, "I am your salvation." May those who seek my life be disgraced and put to confusion. May those who are plotting harm for me be repulsed and put to shame. May they be like chaff before the wind, with the angel of Adonai to drive them on. May their way be dark and slippery, with the angel of Adonai to pursue them. For unprovoked they hid their net over a pit. Unprovoked they dug it for me. May destruction come over him unawares. May the net he concealed catch himself. May he fall into it and be destroyed. Then I will be joyful in Adonai. I will rejoice in his salvation. All my bones will say, "Who is like you? Who can rescue the weak from those stronger than they, the poor and needy from those who exploit them?" Malicious witnesses come forward asking me things about which I know nothing. They repay me evil for good. It makes me feel desolate as a parent bereaved. But I, when they were ill, wore sackcloth. I put myself out and fasted. I can pray that what I prayed for them might also happen to me. I behaved as I would for my friend or my brother. I bent down in sorrow as if mourning my mother. But when I stumble, they gather in glee. They gather against me and strike me unawares. They tear me apart unceasingly. With ungodly mocking and grimacing, they grind their teeth at me. Adonai, how much longer will you look on me? Rescue me from their assaults. Save the one life I have from the lions. I will give you thanks in the great assembly. I will give you praise among huge crowds of people. Do not let those who are wrongfully my enemies gloat over me, and those who hate me unprovoked, do not let them smirk at me. For they do not speak words of peace, but devise ways to deceive the peaceful of the land. They shout to accuse me, aha, aha, we saw you with our own eyes. You saw them, Adonai. Do not stay silent. Adonai, do not stay far away from me. Wake up, get up, my God, my Lord, defend me and my cause. Give judgment for me, Adonai, my God, as your righteousness demands. Do not let them gloat over me. Do not let them say to themselves, aha, we got what we wanted, or say we swallowed them up. May those who gloat over my distress be disgraced and humiliated. May those who aggrandize themselves at my expense be covered with shame and confusion. But may those who delight in my righteousness shout for joy and be glad. Let them say always, how great is Adonai, who delights in the peace of his servants. Then my tongue will tell of your righteousness and praise you all day long. And now Mark 7. The Parashim and some of the Torah teachers who had come from Jerusalem gathered together with Yeshua and saw that some of his Talmidim ate with ritually unclean hands, that is, without doing nitalat yadayim. For the Parashim, as indeed all the Judeans holding fast to the tradition of the elders, do not eat unless they have given their hands a ceremonial washing. Also, when they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they have rinsed their hands up to the wrist, and they adhere to many other traditions such as washing cups, pots, and bronze vessels. The Parashim and the Torah teachers, asked him, why don't your Talmudim live in accordance with the tradition of the elders, but instead eat with ritually unclean hands? Jeshua answered them, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, as it is written, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far away from me. Their worship of me is useless because they teach man-made rules as if they were doctrines. You depart from God's command and hold on to human tradition. Indeed, he said to them, you have made a fine art of departing from God's command in order to keep your tradition. For Moshe said, honor your father and your mother, and anyone who curses his father or mother must be put to death. But you say, if someone says to his father or mother, I have promised, and as a korban, that is, as a gift to God, what I might have used to help you, then you no longer let him do anything for his father or mother. Thus, with your tradition, which you had handed down to you, you nullify the word of God, and you do other things like this. Then Jeshua called the people to him again and said, listen to me, all of you, and understand this. There is nothing outside a person which by going into him can make him unclean. Rather, it is the things that come out of the person which makes a person unclean. When he had left the people and entered the house, his Talmidim asked him about the parable. He replied to them, so you too are without understanding. Do you not see that nothing going into a person from outside can make him unclean? For it does not go into his heart, but into his stomach, and it passes out into the latrine. Thus he declared all food ritually cleaned. It is what comes out of a person, he went on, that makes him unclean. For from within, out of a person's heart, come forth wicked thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, indecency, envy, slander, arrogance, foolishness. All these wicked things come from within, and they make a person unclean. Next, Joshua left that district and went off to the vicinity of Zoar and Sidon. There he found a house to stay in and wanted to remain unrecognized, but keeping hidden proved impossible. Instead, a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit in her came to him and fell down at his feet. The woman was a Greek by birth, a Syrophoenician, and she begged him to drive the demon out of her daughter. He said, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's food and toss it to their pet dogs." She answered him, "That is true, sir, but even the dogs under the table eat the children's leftovers." Then he said to her, "For such an answer you may go on home. The demon has left your daughter." She went back home and found the child lying on the couch, the demon gone. Then he left the district of Zoar and went through Sidon to Lake Kinneret and on to the region of the 10 towns. They brought him a man who was deaf and had a speech impediment and asked Joshua to lay his hands on him. Taking him off alone, away from the crowd, Joshua put his fingers into the man's ears, spat and touched his tongue. Then, looking up to heaven, he gave a deep groan and said to him, "Hipatak," that is, "be opened." His ears were opened, his tongue was freed, and he began speaking clearly. Joshua ordered the people to tell no one, but the more he insisted, the more zealously they spread the news. People were overcome with amazement. "Everything he does well," they said. "He even makes the deaf hear and the dumb speak." Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine on you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you his shalom. Thank you again for joining us. Until next time, shalom.